good morning everyone and welcome to today's MarketColour session. My name is Sabi Abi and I'll be taking the first part of today's analysis, which would be a breakdown on commodity currencies. By that I mean AUD/USD, NZD/USD and USD CAD. Shortly after which my colleague is going to come do his analysis on indices. So US 13 as 100 and any other asset class is going to be looking at in the course of today. Okay, so first thing, I know most of us will not have these indicators on our charts. I always like to highlight this because this is solely for students of the VFT community. However, that is not an issue. What you want to do is take note of the price point and the levels that I look at, mark them out on your chart, add extra confidence if you want to, and do with this information that we're sharing today as you wish, or look for trade ideas as well, right? So I'm going to be starting with USD CAD, to see what this market has in store for us today. So on the H4 time frame, as at Tuesday, we did a breakdown looking at these different asset classes. You can see those levels are still marked out, right? I'll go to H1 to see if any of them held so far. So the first point of interest we marked out, we saw a break below and a retest of it all the way down into the second point of interest. Where price currently is the level we had marked out as an area where we'll be interested in looking for buy continuations of USD CAD, provided we see our confirmation entries on the lower time frame. But for the sake of those of us who did not join on Tuesday, let's us do a recap. So I'm going to go ahead and delete all of this so that the chart does not look too crowded with lines and the indicators. Okay, so back to H for now. What are we seeing on this particular time frame? If you zoom out, you'd see that predominantly structure had been to the downside, but then zooming in to look at most recent price movement, you'd see that price bought a little and then retraced. We called this retracement the moment we saw the sunshine printed, and we expected it to sell into where it has now sold into. Now on the H4, I am seeing a new indicator printed, which is my profit taking, which simply signifies to me that people who took this retracement down are gradually starting to take profits. And whenever I see this happen, I expect one of two things, either a retracement or even a reversal. So I'm seeing this now, sunshine has been printed. I'm expecting a temporal buy from this level, a temporal buy. Where is it going to buy into? This is where we'll go on the H1 time frame to have more data. On the H4 now, right? We're expecting retracement. The most likely area where USD CAD is going to retrace into first would be here, right inside our momentum indicator. This is likely where it's going to buy back into 1.37794. Ideally, these are zones and not specific price points, but for the sake of those of us who do not have the indicators, I'm going to use the price level so you can easily put that on your chart as well. So I'm expecting a buy on USD CAD from where it is, provided again that our confirmation is met on the lower time frame. So looking at this now, I'll go on here on the M5 5-minute time frame to mark out 4 specific levels that could now or will serve as support or resistance zones, right? So we're dragging all of this into today's price movement because we are interested in what the market has in store for us today. So I've drawn out yesterday's low. I'll go ahead and draw out yesterday's high. And then day before yesterday's low and high. So these are levels I'm marking out that could become, previous support, turn resistance to push price down, or previous resistance, turn support that could now bounce price back up, right? So yesterday's high, please pay attention to the ones I've marked out into today. I've drawn out yesterday's low, yesterday's high, day before yesterday's low, drawn into today's price movement. And finally, I'm going to draw out day before yesterday's high as well. So I have now drawn out these 4 levels. What am I now saying? I'm saying if price is able to break above these zones, then we just may see a buy continuation or a buy resumption on USD CAD. If it comes back to break above, now price has violated the first point of interest that could have served as support, right? If price eventually comes back into the zone and breaks above this level, then I'll be interested in taking a buy of USD CAD from where it currently is. My first take profit will be somewhere around here. That's about 30 plus pips, which is fair enough for the session. Give us this day deliberate, as we always say. So if price eventually comes back to break above and this support level holds and I see break of structures and a confirmation pattern printed for me to buy, I'm going to take a short buy from here to here into this trend, because it is possible that price returns into this level and continues to sell. Hence why I'm using them as my first take profit level. And if I decide to go the partial way, my stop loss is very tight in this case. So I could take partials where price returns into this zone or even break even and allow it to run, right? Allow it to run. Where did we mark out on the H1 time frame? Though this is where we marked out. So you see that regardless, this is where would serve as a good enough take profit zone. And if price is able to violate or break through this level, we're going to the upside. What happens if price does not come back to test the support zone? Remember, flexibility is always important in the market. If price does not come back to retest this zone, then it is safe to say that we may see a bit more downward movement on USD CAD. Into what level, you might ask? All the way into our 1 hour trend, which is 1.36866, somewhere around this level. So price could dig a bit deeper before it now gives us that retracement. So for now, my temporal bias for USD CAD is to see a buy, right? And I've shown you where I'm interested in looking for confirmation. Give me a break and a retest here, I'll take a buy. If no confirmation is met, then we know that there is still downward movement for USD CAD to the downside. Then let us look at AUD USD. If you have any questions, please type it in the chat box as I analyze other pairs, so that once I'm done, I can quickly answer them and we can now move into the next part of today's session. So same thing I did on USD CAD. I'm going to pretty much delete some of these zones. However, you know, from last week's, or rather Tuesday, from Tuesday's analysis, we said we're looking at NZD-USD. If our confirmations were met, we're looking at NZD-USD buying into our next POI, which is 0.59618. Where is price currently at? It is currently at 0.59618, right? So this temporal buy that we called out is currently happening. But I'm going to again delete this for the sake of those who did not join on Tuesday. Remember, you can always catch up on analysis sessions that you missed out on our YouTube page with the handle Value Flow Trading, okay? All right, so let's go to H4 now. On H4, price has now retraced into the zone that we had marked out from our last analysis, and we've now seen that sunshine indicator has been printed. Profit taking is currently occurring or has occurred for those who took these retracements, right? Okay, so now that I see this, what are we expecting? We'll see a continuation, because we're looking at what price has been doing since somewhere around the 3rd of July, thereabout. It's been selling, right? However, predominant structure is still to the upside rather. But if price is going to continue doing this for us to now have a confirmed downtrend, then this may just hold. Regardless of what price does in future, what are we looking at right now? Sunshine has been printed. I'm expecting temporal sales of this guy. On H1, what am I seeing on H1? Price is now currently inside my pullback indicator. This is one of the things that attracted price or drew price back to this particular level. So looking at this happening, right? And if this zone, again, similar to USD CAD, if this zone does not hold, where is the next level that we hold? 0.5991. That is why I always state looking for confirmations and not just setting buy or sell limits at particular levels. Those confirmations helps us to, avoid unnecessary trades. So this is the bias generally on H1. What am I doing on M5? I want to see more confirmations. So I'm going to go ahead and mark out the 4 basic levels I always do. What are they? Yesterday's high right here. Yesterday's low. Getting yesterday's highs and lows are not complicated. All you want to do is just Control Y on your MT4 platform, and you see these period separators that come out. Then you simply click the highest high of each day, right? So I'm going to adjust this a bit upward. Yesterday's high, yesterday's low has been marked out. I'm now going to mark out day before yesterday's low right here and day before yesterday's high. Is this helpful so far? Please let me know. I need feedback. Is this helpful so far? Okay, so I've now marked out 4 levels on the M5. And why did I mark out those ones? I'm basically saying that when price eventually starts to sell like we predict or we're expecting it to, then the levels that could serve as hindrances or support levels that could start to tussle price would be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Do you understand? So 1, 2, 3, and 4 are the levels that could now be in the spotlight to either serve as support to make price continue to buy. But if price keeps digging, where is it going? It's going to keep going lower. I think NZD/USD should break lower and trade somewhere in here around 0.59141. I think it may sell all the way downward, right? And if price eventually breaks through this level, we know it is coming for this zone next. Are we together? Then finally, AUD/USD. I'm going to go ahead and delete our last analysis markups and start from the top. So AUD/USD H4 time frame. Price has been buying. Sunshine has been printed. If you look at, if I zoom in, you could see the price action in between. You see that we had a change of character around this zone where price broke through this level to the downside. So is it possible that this could be the second leg that will push AUD/USD even lower? But we keep saying, what we know is Sunshine has been printed on this particular time frame, so we're expecting a downward movement into what level? First, the first level is very, very close here, and then the second level is here. So we're expecting AUD/USD to retrace downward into 0.65171 or 64740. And then for the M5 time frame, marking out those 4 specific levels, those are yesterday's high and low, day before yesterday's high and low. So mark this out. So these are now the 4 zones I'm looking out for that could serve as support for this particular asset class: 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that's my bias that I'm looking out for this morning. I'm just waiting for confirmations on all of these asset classes for NU to take a temporal sell, AU temporal sell, USD card temporal buy as well. If you have any questions, this will be the perfect time to ask. If not, we can proceed into the next session, the next half of this session. Our first bootcamp course is just around the corner. In that particular course, we teach you even more detailed steps that you can analyze the market and be able to see what we see, tell a story, and even give you a little insight into fundamentals, because technicals one thing, indicators are one thing. We also have another driver of the market, which is fundamental. So all of these analysis could literally be null and void if one news release just comes out and shakes the market. Right? It's coming up on the 25th of August. So if you'd love to enroll for that class, simply send us a WhatsApp message and we'll get you on board. You're going to learn about 3 different strategies, how almost everyone on the trading floor trades the financial market or the Forex market. Okay. If there are no questions, this is pretty much where I'm going to be stopping, so we can move into the second half of this session. Thank you so much for joining and giving me your attention. With that being said, cheers, God bless, don't go anywhere, we'll be back shortly.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the second part of today's market color. We'll be looking at the US equities market, US 100, S&P 500, and NASDAQ, right? And also Dow Jones, right? All right. So on Tuesday, we had some levels that we marked out, anticipating their movements to the upside. And by that, I mean on US 30 and also some analysis on US 100. However, some really interesting things has happened and it's quite surprising. Not that surprising, but then um, very interesting to know, right? On US 30, we had some markups that we had earlier. Okay, I'm trying to, okay, give me a sec, please. Beautiful. So we had this markup we had on the daily time frame and also on 4-hour time frame. All of the analysis we did, right? We said price is going to start moving to the upside from this zone, right? Because everything is pointed to the markets being bullish, right? VIX, which is the fear index, is still very much bullish, very much bearish, right? And once fear index is bearish, meaning people are not fearful, and then we expect the market to rally to the upside. The only thing that is tilting to, the markets or investors' sentiments being bearish or bullish about VIX is that the tariff conversation, right? And then interest rates that'll be coming up. I think that's next week, right? So that's the only thing that is a bit dicey. But then all things being equal, the market is still very, very, very much bullish sentiment-wise, right? And that's why we see VIX around 16.45 levels, right? So for that, we said that we are very, very much bullish in this market. And then we marked out some areas which we mentioned not last week, on Tuesday. We marked out this entire order block here. Now we've had a lot of price action movement. But then as at then, it was just these two candles here. And this is a very strong bullish engulfing candle, right? This one here, this was Monday candle, this is Tuesday, and this was where we were at this zone on Tuesday, and then marked out this level. And then by the time we go to the 4-hour time frame, so that structure is still very, very much bullish on the 4-hour time frame. Although microstructure is bearish, right? By microstructure, I mean all of this. The market was printing lower highs and lower lows continuously, breaking all the structure to the downside, right? And that also give us some level of concern. However, on the 1-hour time frame, this was what we had, right? On the 1-hour time frame. No, was it 1 hour, 2-hour time frame? Yeah, I remember 2-hour time frame. We marked out this zone, right? We marked out this entire zone, and then we're waiting for price action to tap into this zone, and then what happens next? He stated clearly that once price action comes into this zone, you're going to move all the way, at least to this place here, right? That was our analysis on Tuesday that we had on, especially on US 30. But something really interesting happened. We had the same analysis or kind of the same, framework around other peers. Other peers had the same kind of framework, right? Daily time frame was very, very much bullish. And then, although I didn't get to mark out this during the session, right? And then we had the same engulfing. So what we are expecting for US 30 to happen actually finally didn't happen on US 30. Instead, it happened on US 100. That's NASDAQ, right? Because on US 30, we're anticipating that the market is going to sell into 50% of this order block here, at least sell into 50%, and then we start seeing that rally to the upside. Instead, it didn't do that. And put it on the 2-hour time frame. It didn't do that, right? Almost did that, but then tapped into fair value gap instead, right? See, just about say 10 to 15 pips away from our order block, just tap us in and then move, right? But then for US 100, we saw very significant movement because this is the order block here, right? This is the other block. This is the engulfing bullish candle, right? And then look at the 2 hours order block. right? 2 hours order block. Look at the way the market tapped into it gently, right? This was a very soft setup. Market tapped into it gently and then all the way, and it's still pushing, right? All the way. So this is some very, very funny things that happen sometimes. We had the perfect setup on US 30, but then US 100 trade was picked, right? So that's why I always advocate that you have 3 of these charts lined up side by side, US 30, US 100, S&P 500, because for me personally, I wasn't able to take this trade. I wasn't watching, what's it called now, US 100. As at that point, I was really fixated on US 30, right? And then this passed us by. But I believe any of us in the, um, academy will have taken this for those that really follow through, because this was a very simple strategy. I mean, a break to the upside and then inside an order block, inside a daily order block again. Look, it tapped into the fair value gap here, but I wasn't watching the fair value gap for a retest. But on US 100, it really tapped, sat on it, and then just, it's a very, very simple stuff. And then you see the rally to the upside, giving at least, if you mark it all the way, this 1:9 already, and all the way somewhere around here, 1:14, right? Almost there. So it's a good trade. So what will I be watching out for today? Because this has gone already. That's gone already. What will I be watching out for today? I'm still looking at the buys, except that on the 4-hour time frame, the market is still giving us that, illusion of sales structure being broken to the downside. But don't forget what I said. I said I'll be looking to buy into this level, right? Because from this level, it gets really interesting. What is in this level? For those that understand box strategy, this is a perfect, a schematic for box strategy, right? It sweep to the upside, it breaks to the downside, and then a retest, right? And then the idea was to even start buying from this zone into this fair value gap, because buying into this fair value gap now will have given us the confidence to say, okay, let us even take a little profit out of what we made in this trade and then try out to sell, right? If it's going to start selling from that zone, scaling down into even 3 minutes, 5 minutes, right? But that's not the case for now. But I mean, that still remains intact. I'll be watching how the market reacts on this zone, but then it's a very dicey zone to be in, because sentiment is saying we are very much still bullish, right? But then technical analysis is now tilting, right? Technical analysis is giving everything it should give for a sell, while sentiment is extremely bullish. So it's a confusing place to be. Should you follow technical analysis or even sentiment? But you also know that when it comes to US equity markets, sentiment rule the game, right? Or whatever is happening in terms of White House and Donald Trump speaking affects this market more than whatever support or resistance we want to use as a basis to enter the market, right? So for me, I'll be watching this market this morning. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, price has really even tested everything you should test. This was a breaker block, right? Price tapped into it, broke above, tested it again, and then continued its direction to the upside. So basically speaking, this morning on US 30, on US 100, there's no setup or for intraday basis for me personally, right? Except if you want to look at this fair value gap, this other fair value gap down here, and see once price comes, you're going to tap into it. But that is not even also still clear, right? Because if for any reason price tap into this zone that we're looking at and then start selling off, I wouldn't expect it to respect. I wouldn't expect this fair value gap to hold at all. At all. I wouldn't expect that, because this box strategy will most likely close below here or even here, right? So let's continue with the analysis. On S&P 500 this morning, also we had the same thing on S&P 500, almost the same thing. It didn't tap its own too, right? Like US 30, S&P 500 did not tap into that 50% that I wanted it to tap into. And this other block here on the daily time frame and engulfing, anyone you call it, and then by the time it shifts to 2-hour time frame, we also have this beautiful, you see guys, this beautiful other block here. And they were very obvious. I don't just know why price failed to tap into those zones. You now use the fair value gap instead of the other block, right? And then price failed to tap into this, and then it's moving to the upside, right? So for me, what would I be looking for this morning on US S&P 500? I'm still watching out for a buy, like I stated very clearly. So, but this is what I would do. I want to see how price, I'm going to use the closest point of interest. This other block here, which is the closest point of interest, right? And also, let me just use this one below. The closest point of interest. All this old bullish drama, I want to see what it's going to do before 2:30 or 3 o'clock when New York markets opens, right? Because if for any reason this old drama is still, probably the market still ranges, right? After this bullish candle close and it begins to range or begins to dance around this zone, I will enter for a buy and then want to exit here. Right? I want to exit here. This will be my first take profit. Second take profit to be here, right? Because those areas are quite significant. Price might want to start selling off from that zone. So that will be my, trade setup for the day, right? So this is what I'll be looking out for today. If for any reason I see price close above this and then towards New York open, it begins to range, dance around this zone, then I want to enter. And one of the things I'll be doing again, I'll just scale down to M1 time frame so that I can get a very good risk to reward. I've been observing that for some days now. Scaling down on those time frame really, really gives you juicy risk to reward. Instead of getting, say, 1:4, 1:5 on your higher time frame, you could as well get as high as 1:8, 10, 14. And it looks ridiculous, but then it's possible, right? All right, that being said, thank you. It's a good place to ask a question this morning. If you have any question, please, it's a good place for us to ask a question. David, Innocent, Joe, Samuel, Solomon, Timothy, Toby. Do we have any question this morning? Do you have any question? Do you have any question? All right, like my colleague just said, the FX Bootcamp will be coming up very soon. So send us a DM and then enroll for the class, right? If you are new into Forex and you want to really learn how we are able to do all of these things, do well to enroll and sign up so that you can be added to the community. You see how we do these things, right? See how we are able to catch this kind of trade setup using different strategy in the academy. All right. Any strategy used to enter lower time frame? It is still box strategy, right? It's still box strategy on the M1 time frame, right? Usually happens. It happens. So the idea is that price is what's the name of that word now? It's fractal, right? Meaning whatever it is that happens on the daily time frame happens even on the lower time frame too. So by the time you scale down, you still see that thing repeating itself. So it's the box strategy that we use even on the lower time frame. All right, thank you for that wonderful question. We see again by 2 p.m. this afternoon, right? Ensure you join, ensure you are available. I wish you all a profitable trading. Cheers and God bless everyone. Bye.